move on. All right, so we are going to bring Dale back on. He was not in the asylum. What had happened was this is a closed down asylum that Dale had an experience in. So, Dale, you are on with Dave and Ethan. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you very much for taking my call.
Absolutely. How are you?
I'm doing great. And you?
I am doing well. May I ask, have you heard about the show?
I think you had sent me some information about that. Or
duh.
got it off of Facebook, probably.
Sweet. All right, Dale, what did you want to talk about?
Well, I'd like to talk about my experience. I've been involved in paranormal research for 46 years. And in that time, I've investigated quite a number of different locations with my group. And we were...
Sorry, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you like a actual paranormal investigator? Like, do you have all the tools and equipment and stuff?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh my God. So I'm excited. I have been trying to get someone to take me with them on these paranormal investigations, and the last person had canceled. Would you be open to taking me on some? Because I am in Illinois and I would love to do it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Could you send me a message on, do you have my Facebook by chance?
I have. I think we were communicating through Facebook Messenger.
Yes, I see it. Okay. I'm sending you a follow-up message. Great. Yeah, if we could
really excited.
I have been dying to take the perspective into the streets and start like investigating these hauntings. Like that would be a lot of fun. But anyways, I will let you finish. I apologize. I just get really excited because I've been dying to go ghost hunting.
Okay.
Dying? Okay, be careful.
I had people in my group or people that were outside of my group in the past that have been skeptics, and what I can't actually say I made believers out of them, but at least they were able to join us and investigate with us.
Did they see any? Did you see anything with the skeptics with you?
No, we did not.
Okay.
First of all, I should probably say that visual sighting is by far the least reported way of experiencing something supernatural, usually through sounds. We didn't hear any sounds either, but that's not uncommon. Sometimes places we go, we don't get any evidence. Sometimes we get some evidence, sometimes we get a lot of evidence. It really depends on the location. When we were at the Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Western West Virginia, this was an asylum that closed down in 1994. It's an abandoned asylum, abandoned location. We had permission to be there, and we were there in 2015. And it's a large building. It's got 265,000 square feet, 4 floors. Some of them go back to the Civil War. And we were actually being taken floor to floor with a guide, and then given the opportunity to investigate each floor as we went along.
Would you be able to, sorry to interrupt one more time, would you be able to speak a little louder? The audience is having a difficult time hearing you.
Sure, is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. We were there to try to look into various claims of the paranormal that I had read about, researched, and also had been told by the guides that took us through. And one of the stories that we were told, this kind of leads up to my experience, is that there was a female inmate way back when in time that really had a problem with, she was female, and she had problems with anybody with the opposite sex. Okay. So if you were a doctor, an orderly, a patient, a visitor, she didn't like you. So I don't know if it had something to do with her condition or whatever. They didn't go into that detail. But she would often throw food at them and curse at them and so forth and so on. So our team at that time, we're kind of a mixed team. We have males and females in our group. from all walks of life. We have, a couple of registered nurses and several registered nurses, professional people in our group as well. We, at that time, it was myself and 3 female investigators that were investigating this area, not too far down the corridor, where this patient had been existing in real life. So there was a set of isolation cells further down, and those isolation cells were sometimes used for people that were a bit unruly. And we were just, we had set up some equipment. We had some EMF detectors, electromagnetic field detectors, which there is a theory that spirits, there are such things as spirits, that there is an energy that survives the death of the body. Einstein said that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It basically changes form. So, sometimes we believe that if we encounter something paranormal or a spirit or a ghost, it can create or cause deviations in electromagnetic fields that in some cases our equipment will be able to pick up.
Okay.
So we had these devices set up, on the floor near the isolation cells, and suddenly my whole left arm literally went to sleep. I mean, it was completely like I had stuck my arm into a freezer.
Okay.
Goosebumps, the hair was standing up on end. We were shooting video at the time in low light conditions, night shot cameras, and took several pictures of my arm. I was only on one side of my body. And this was the interesting part. None of the females felt anything at all. And I attribute that perhaps to that this was that spirit that did not like males, that maybe she was reaching out or lashing out to me at that point. We continue doing our investigating. We have it on videotape that this was going on, that the females were saying that we don't feel no draft, we don't feel no cold. None of the devices we were using to pick up temperature registered anything. And then came the unusual part for me. It wasn't something that was frightening. It wasn't something that I would have ran screaming down the hallways for. But about that time, on the video, you can actually see me kind of grabbing my left side of my rear end. I'll say it nicely, as though I felt a very cold hand or something literally grab me there. And you actually see my hand go down, and immediately, the 3 females came up to that area. They were within a foot of me anyway at that time, and they began saying they don't feel anything, they don't sense anything, they weren't feeling a draft, they weren't feeling any cold, the thermometers weren't registering anything, any significant change in temperature. And we continued for a bit. We were continued the communication because we thought that perhaps we were onto something here. Again, that story of that woman lashing out to people from the opposite sex. So we were using a device that we call an obelisk, and an obelisk basically has a speech synthesizer built in, and the idea behind it, at least the idea for when the designer of this designed this particular piece of device, is that it allows spirits to interact with this speech synthesizer, put together vowels and consonants to create words, and then if it's in the phonetic mode, allows them to say entire sentences coming through here. So I asked the question basically after we had these experiences there, or at least I had the experience.
Real quick, it's kind of, I want to kind of bring this to a point because it's kind of going on a long time. What specifically happened?
This is the last thing I was going to say. Basically, is that I'd asked the question: do you want us to leave, or do you want me to leave? And one word came through: you, meaning me. So it was an interesting experience. It's something that I think we tried to debunk it. We tried to look for a rational explanation. I always look for rational explanations. I'm not the kind of investigator that jumps to conclusions. So we've actually have debunked things during our investigations, or in some cases even recreated things that happened to us that have been paranormal, or we thought were paranormal.
So outside of the Einstein quote you gave, how could we prove conclusively that there are like ghosts and spirits? Because regardless of what he said, that doesn't necessarily mean there are, spirits or souls. So how can we demonstrably show that they do exist?
Well, I mean, that's the overall $64,000 question. Is that's what paranormal investigators have been striving for long before I was around, and it'll probably be going on long after I've left this earth myself. I guess through the use of scientific equipment, the equipment is getting better and better. When I first started, I only had a 35 millimeter camera and a cassette tape recorder, and now there's all these different types of equipment that's out there. And I think through the use of that, through the use of different types of cameras and devices, and even personal experiences, I think we're getting closer to that. I mean, what's going to make the breakthrough? It's anybody's guess at this time.
So, what would you say is your most compelling experience where you're like, "Yep, I know for sure ghosts are real"? Like, could you give me a quick example of one?
Besides the one I thought I just told you, that we were in a cave in Tennessee, and this was a cave that we know from documentation that somebody was in fact shot there by a county sheriff. It was used as a moonshine stills, and there was also Indian burial grounds inside it. There were bones of Indians, and we were doing an investigation in this cave. And everybody was to the front of me. There was nobody behind me, around my back or anything. They were out there doing other investigating. We were in complete darkness, and something literally just poked me in the back. This is something that during the 46 years I've been doing this, I can count on maybe one hand the amount of times that I've actually been physically interacted with something. So that's something that happens very often to me personally. Even these TV shows, you see these TV shows basically interacting with something every week. They're getting scratched or burned or something like that. This is not something that happens to me very often. I think it's really not the reality of the paranormal to begin with. So I think by spinning around real quickly and seeing there was absolutely nobody behind me at that time, and then later analyzing some of the video footage that we actually captured right after that event, there was apparently some sort of figure standing next to the wall, just about maybe 3-4 feet behind me.
Okay. Here's what I'd like to do. I would love to, as I specified earlier, set up a day or a weekend with you. I'll buy you lunch or buy you dinner, whatever it takes. And I'd like to bring, a friend or two and some camera equipment, and go to like a couple of or wherever the most haunted places are. If there's specific times like evenings that are better, whatever we can do to capture something. Would you be able to help me arrange that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. All right. I'm counting on you, because the last person I really want to do this.
Yeah, and it fell through.
We already have a number of investigations already set up this year, but a lot of them are kind of out of state. We're going to Gettysburg, we're going to Iowa, we're going to Tennessee. But we do have a number of investigations that we're in the planning stages of doing things in both Illinois and Indiana.
Well, that would be awesome. I would, I don't mind making a drive. I don't know, like if I'd make like a 15-hour drive, but I don't mind driving a few hours if I'll get the opportunity to like investigate these things in person, because again, that's what I'm dying to do. I mean, that's really all I got, Dave.
Yeah, this is reminding me of a lot of, I don't know if do you identify as a Christian, Dale?
Well, I was raised a Roman Catholic.
Do you believe in an afterlife, like heaven and hell?
That's where my differences kind of lie. I mean, because I don't know if there is a heaven or hell, or if it's simply an altered state of consciousness or something else I don't understand.
I was just curious, because I mean, this kind of flies in the face of that. If the dead are still hanging around haunting us instead of going to heaven or hell, but that's for another conversation. The real question I have, and the skepticism I have around this, is correlated to the skepticism I have around Christianity and the claims that Christians make and that I used to actually believe about a supernatural God who did miracles and healed people, and there are still groups around the world today that claim that God is doing this or God is doing that, or so and so got healed, or people even claim that so and so got raised from the dead, or there's just all these claims, and there's never any photographic evidence, there's never any video, and we all carry video cameras in our pockets. We have phones everywhere. We have better and better equipment, and yet the evidence for these kinds of supernatural things never gets any better. It never. We still don't have what you would think we would have.
Is there someone playing music in the background?
Yeah, it's an alarm, Bevan. Yeah.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
alarm.
I don't want to get a copyright strike for the music.
No, it's Alexa giving us an alarm.
Okay.
I need to go shut it off. So sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the issue I have is that we have all this technology at our disposal now, and we still don't have anything regarding what I would consider compelling proof for the supernatural world and these events that people are claiming happen. And I just, that's a little, I'm skeptical about that. Excuse me 1 second.
Not that very quickly. Basically, ghosts, I believe, or if you, whether you believe or not, I
Stop.
have a belief that there are spirits or ghosts. They are a very spontaneous phenomena. They're nothing that can be simply brought into under laboratory conditions and studied. It's not like we can do something like that. So the spontaneity of these actions or interactions that people have between themselves and supposedly spirits are very fleeting. Sometimes they're only a matter of seconds in some cases. They're sometimes in a wink of an eye. There are a lot of good photographs on the internet. I have several on my site, which I believe to be authentic images and ones that we've captured and other people have sent me that I have no explanation for. But I tend to not bring so much of the religion into the paranormal. It's sort of like when you say separation of church and state, I say separation of religion and the paranormal. So I try to stay away from that area. But my actually getting involved in the paranormal was to prove possibly the existence of life after death, because I figured if I could definitively in some way, shape, or form prove that ghosts exist, the survival of the soul, if you will, then you actually basically in some way, shape, or form prove that there is an afterlife or there is something that survives the death of the body.
Well, I look forward to looking more into this and definitely sitting down with you, Dave. We got to wrap up this call as we still got a couple more to get through. Any last minute questions?
Nope, that's it. Look forward to your adventure there, Ethan.
Me too. And Dale, did you, in 30 seconds or less, anything you want to wrap up with?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for taking the time to call in today, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Have
Thanks,
a good
Dale.
day.